Welcome, ladies, gents, and miscellaneous to a late to the party review of Call of Duty Infinite Warfare's campaign. As usual, I'm late to the party, but by how long? Infinite Warfare, released in November of 2016, was the first video game I ever played on a console, and was published by Infinity Ward. Taken not so positively by the online community, I wish to explore if that hate was well deserved, which is why I'll be avoiding multiplayer, because that one's obvious enough, and is a pretty poor focal point for the entry. A basic overview of the game would draw attention to the incredibly unfair higher difficulties, the removal of useless and mundane side objectives, and actual character development. Infinite Warfare does an incredible job at improving engagement by changing side missions and collectibles into a method of upgrading equipment and other gameplay mechanics. Faster reloading or resistance to explosives, for example. Coupled with a memorable cast of voice actors that brings so much heart into the game, Infinite Warfare is one of my top 3 Call of Duty campaigns easily. I actually found out last week that the cast are actually reflected to look like their video game counterparts. After having played this game since 2016, it still surprises me. So, a quick relay of information about difficulty. Infinite Warfare introduces Specialist and YOLO difficulties. Specialist turns the game into Tarkov fundamentally, gets shot in the leg, lose the ability to sprint and take magnified fall damage. Arm damage can disable all equipment and the ability to ADS, and if your helmet breaks you'll suffocate in 0G or get one shot otherwise. Regen is disabled and you have to sacrifice lethal equipment to bring stim shots. And what's YOLO? Well, Specialist, but no save states. You die, crash or Alt F4. You start from Mission 1. Completing YOLO is nigh on impossible with the annoying insta-deaths and sometimes bullshit enemy accuracy scattered around randomly throughout the game. But the reward is worth it, at least for speedrunners. It's the Golden Volker 100 damage AR. However, with 6 years of knowledge, I still never managed to finish YOLO legitimately, and I have no wish to. Infinite Warfare, like most other story games, trusts that you care about the characters, and most development comes from the credits' death messages. However, at least me myself, I found all the characters likeable, and aren't just the usual brooding cannon fodder soldier men. The characters do die, for the most part, and draw an antithesis to Rhea's perfect idea of leadership. It's really interesting to see a soldier be promoted outside of his control, try to command in the way his morals, and the morals of a normal human being, at least presumably, I don't fucking know normal, I'm a Brit, permit him to act and fail wholly. The little speech by Mac, an ex-captain who couldn't take the pressure near the end of the game, is pretty emotional, and foreshadows the ending of the game, albeit an obvious one.
I'll do whatever it takes to keep us secure.
You're our leader, sir. Not our savior.
I hold myself accountable, Chief.
As you should. You aborted the mission. Captain.
He saved his ship and crew, Chief.
And that's noble, but the shipyard remains intact. Look, the strength of the pack is in all the wolves, Captain. All in, no matter the cost. They were ready. Now, if you don't have the will to make that kind of choice, then like me, you have no place being in command.
I couldn't ram my own ship. I would have killed them.
They came to win. This doesn't look like victory.
Transitioning from protagonist to antagonist, the main enemy of the game is Admiral Salem Koch. With an unforgettable performance by Kit Harington, I think he's a real unsung hero in terms of villains. One of the most successful components of Infinite Warfare is the nigh-on limitless scenery changes and changes in terrain. From a frozen moon to a lunar gateway, Titan, a mining asteroid hurtling into the sun, an asteroid belt, a destroyed city of Earth and Mars. And that's ignoring the 9 side missions entirely. The inclusion of energy and ballistic weapon types, and a unique upgrade for each gun that changes a core function of the weapon, results in a gameplay style that rewards experimentation amongst different missions, especially with the altering engagement ranges and scenarios. This can pull players away from the usual COD model, which is pick a gun and use it for the rest of your life, but probably still isn't very effective anyway. I experienced a variety of issues when it came to enemies clipping through objects, immense loading times that were vacant on a 2016 Xbox One entirely, and while playing YOLO, the blatant insta-kills that get you if you don't walk down a very specific set path. But otherwise, structurally, the game functions really well. This was the phase of just amazing games, story and hardware-wise. Battlefield 1, Overwatch, Uncharted 4, Dark Souls 3, Doom, Inside, and Titanfall 2 all released in 2016, and were all pretty great doing what they set out to do. And honestly, with this lineup, just naming a few, in retrospect it's kind of obvious why Infinite Warfare was set on the back burners. And now, to stop faffing around, the part of the real review. Achievements 0.3. Most achievements are just mission or difficulty oriented. There's a few completionist achievements, but nothing special. Art style 0.3. Basic FPS, realistic style. Atmosphere 0.9. Exterior locations are impeccable, with music and scale creating an unforgettable and instantly recognizable atmosphere. Interior locations lack the same mood and are rather basic, which brings the score down a titch. Completionist friendly 0.5. Easy to find and achievable until we come to the difficulties. Specialist is a challenge, but YOLO still avoids me, even with basically 6 years of knowledge. Controls 0.5. Basic FPS controls. Flying with a keyboard doesn't bode well, and I will always recommend a controller for the most lax experience. Emotional value 1. This score is variable from person to person, but unless you're a soulless monk, I'm certain this game will give you the chills on a number of occasions, at the very least. Fun 0.6. While I love this game, it is just a COD title, and fundamentally doesn't do much more than point and click. Colours, visuals 0.8. The colour directive for Infinite Warfare is remarkable, and each mission is easily distinguishable from one another, simply by the colour schemes of each planet. The visuals were nothing special for 2016, but still lives up to today's standards in many a case. Originality 0.3. Coming after Advanced Warfare and Black Ops 3, the futuristic setting was nothing special. However, the story and directive for the game definitely saves it from monotony for me personally. Replayability 0.6. With the addition of Specialist, again it brings this score up, introducing something no other COD game has. Additionally, seeing that the collectibles are so accessible, you can play through the game like a Game Plus with all weapons and equipment available to you. Rewards for exploration 0.4. While there are different paths in some locations of the game, the only unlockables are within usually visible and obvious armories. As per usual for shooters, there really isn't much point of doing anything but walking forwards. Score 1. An unmistakable soundtrack lends the game another layer of recognition, and while some of the songs are filler, as with most games of this caliber, the flawlessness of other themes makes up for it entirely. Anthropic Universe could be the only song in the soundtrack and I'd still give it a 1 out of 1. World building 0.7. The constant battle between the Settlement Defense Front and Sato forces expands on the world building, and little tidbits such as the SDF chose that name to appear as underdogs really brings a lot to the table. The final death messages also introduce limited backstories to some side characters. It really gives the illusion that the game is more in-depth. Writing 0.6. Obvious plot points are obvious, but the dialogue and even Nick's morals of no man left behind, being constantly tested and proven ineffective in the long run, truly allows the game to leave an impact on its players. And finally, the personal score 1. Possibly being biased, having grown up with the game as a template, I could never possibly hate Infinite Warfare, and I've got to give it a perfect score for all those hours and years of time spent in it. On to conclude, Infinite Warfare is a unique entry in the usual copy and paste FPS genre, especially for 2016. I feel like if it was released next year it would have been received so much more positively due to the lack of competition for these kind of games, namely Titanfall 2. Ones with effort and time sacrificed on them. So many games today are too disposable, which is why I like to focus on 2019 and prior with my reviews. As an introduction to gaming, Infinite Warfare served me well, and I'll never forget the time I spent with it. So thank you, Infinity Ward, and thank you all of you for watching this video. I hope you did enjoy. I hope you all have a good morning, afternoon, evening, and good night, wherever you're watching and wherever you're watching from. Once again, yet again, thank you for watching. Do good things, be good people, and good night.
To my dearest wife, Sarah, my son, Noah, and my daughter, Abby. If you're reading this, I can tell you with the utmost confidence that I died for something right and just. The cost of war is higher than any one life, and I happily give mine in defense of my men and family. Abby, I'm sorry I didn't keep my promise when I said I was coming home. My hopes for your future gave me the strength to protect everything we hold dear. You will always be Daddy's little girl. Noah, be an honest man. Keep your word. Only use violence as a last resort. You're the man of the house now. Sarah, please keep our baby safe. And find it in your heart to forgive me for leaving you alone. If my last breath is not in the battlefield, then surely it will be in your arms. Keep me in your hearts. Always.
For my dear wife Olivia and my daughter Nisreen. If you are reading this, I guess I didn't make it home. I was prepared to face danger and death. I hope I did so with dignity. My time was cut short, but I had countless blessings. I married the perfect woman. I have a brand new daughter on the way. I'd be selfish to ask for more. I love you, Olivia. Welcome our baby into this world and cherish her for me. Remind her about her daddy. And please, never be afraid to do what you need to find happiness. Nisreen? Hello, sweetheart. I left for this tour before you were born. I'm sorry I won't be able to see you grow up. Daddy wanted to make the world a better place. That's why we made you. Keep me in your prayers and try to do one good deed every day. Be safe, my family. Victor.
Sir, we're behind enemy lines now in the heat of battle. Time is short. You've given an order from which there is likely no return. You did what had to be done. All in. I'm proud of you. You're a born leader, sir. Today was one of the worst days in history, and forgive me for saying it, but it was the greatest day of my life. I did everything I was trained for and more. Together, we fought the good fight. Over Titan, you said we were brothers. I always wanted to know what a family really is. Now I do. Admiral Rains told me that a soldier is only as good as his last mission. If this is ours, then I can say, with certainty, we were damn good, sir. Better to burn out than it is to rust. Metal One, out.
My dearest children. Well, as this letter will only be used in the event of my death, it may seem somewhat sorrowful, but I don't want you to see it that way, okay? I have always felt that our stay on Earth, the time we call life, it's a temporary gift to be spent in service of something greater than ourselves. Death comes to us all. It is not to be feared. I loved my job, but I hated war. But the secret mission I undertook every single day was to protect the two of you from anyone or anything that threatened your health and well-being. So promise me you will take care of one another, and please live your lives to the fullest, with all the love in my heart. Mum.